Welcome back to Late Night Gamer. You may have guessed it, it's ASL time again. And I had, we call it development since my last video, or since last time with ASL. I have procured, I think I have the complete collection now of starter kits. I also have the starter kit 2, which is not here. I don't have the box, but I have all the content, and I just show my rulebook to prove it. I bought a used lot, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I also have the historical model Decision at Elst. I love historical modules. I love history in games, so this is going to be fun to play with as well. I haven't even cut that, but I also have the starter kit 1. Which I already showed on the channel. I showed some infantry fights, so that's not up for now either. And then we were left with basically starter kit 3. We have some scenarios from Beyond the Beaches, and also have the expansion pack number 1, as well as starter kit number 2, which sadly again I don't have the box. So I'm going to dig into this game again, and I'm going to move from infantry game, pure infantry game, up to something a little bit more. Guns for sure. I don't think I'm ready for tanks yet, but I think I have the guns down and ready to go, more or less. So it could be interesting to play a scenario here on the channel with guns. Now there are other people also showing some excellent videos of ASL. I particularly would like to mention the Counter-Attack video series on ASL. It has been a huge inspiration for me to watch those videos, and he's now playing full ASL. And that helps me to break down the game, so that I understand that I can actually do it. It's possible to play the game. So I have a ton of cheat sheets also, so to help me. The cheat sheet, which I have used a lot for the starter kit number 1, is not useful now so much, because I also need now to have to incorporate the guns. Rather now I will try to use this one here. Yeah, it's called fittingly it's called the ASLSK2 number 3 sequence of play. So it also has vehicles, which I'm not going to use now, I think. It takes you through every phase and reminds you about when to do rally, and what are the modifiers and all this kind of stuff, and when to remove the markers, basically to help you to play the game more fluently. Very helpful. Right, so we'll take away the rule books, and maybe I'll show you later what's the content of all of these kits. But now, yeah, there's another one thing that I would like to say, because in these starter kits, when you fire a gun, it's different from firing an infantry weapon. You have to check if you are able to hit. And if you are able to hit, then you will see what damage that hit does. And I will show you an example. So each of the different guns has a different to hit number. For instance, this German gun, which is marked with 75 and a star. Different firepowers, and at different range it has different numbers to hit. And you have to roll 2 dice. Oh, actually, you have to roll a color die and a normal die. 2 dice. And if your roll number is less than the to hit number, and then you actually hit. So there's a pretty good chance at close range here, and you can see as the range goes up, there's different numbers, and some are red, some are blacks. But every gun is listed like that. Now, in full ASL, this is not possible. It's way too many guns. Right. So in full ASL, instead they have this chart, which is a very it's a chart who sums up all of the guns. Different ranges, you get different to hit numbers, but then you have modifiers depending on the size of the gun and so forth. And after that, you will go through the list to see any modification to your die roll. It's a big list, but it's not so scary to go through. and you should end up with the same number. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to, for every gun, I'm going to look at this chart and to see if I can find the to hit number, and then I will look at the chart which is with the game and check the gun to see if I done it right. So that should be a good control if I get it right. So I have collected all the scenarios in this book, there is quite a few scenarios. These are all the scenarios for the expansion packs. Sorry, for the starter kits, except Decision at Else. I haven't put in those scenarios yet. That game is unopened practically yet. So, and there's a few also that I have printed out from the web, from the homepage of MMP. They have some free scenarios there for the starter kits, and all the starter kit scenarios. Well, everything is numbered, but the scenarios has. Can you see it up here? Maybe not. It says ASL scenario S1. S referring to starter kit. So retaking Weirville, it belongs in starter kit number 1. I just made a note there, so I remember that. What I'm looking for is a scenario who is not only infantry, not too many turns. I think if you can find something around 5, it's excellent. Small board, maybe you have to go with 2 boards because of the guns. They maybe have a bigger range. Let's see, I will accept that. But not too many units either. So I must be able to compute all of this. So we can take away, we can overlook all the scenarios from SK1, that's for sure. So I ended up with over open sites. It's a 1 map scenario. We play on the whole map. 7 turns is a bit on the long side, but okay, we'll do that. But the number of units are not so big. Well, the Germans have quite a few, but the Allied or the British, no, the US troops, the American troops, they don't have too many. They do have a support weapon mortar, a small mortar, and they also have some artillery pieces. 3 different artillery pieces that are crewman. So that gives us the aspect of artillery and crews, guns and crews basically. And then the Germans will come on. They do have a medium machine gun, light machine gun, and also a mortar, a support weapon mortar. So that's interesting. Then that gives us all the aspects of the starter kit number 2 with guns and mortars. Alright, we place the map down here and the same orientation as on the setup card. Remember that the X goes down in the left corner and north is up. I'll put the card here on the side. Yeah, X down in the corner, north is up. So I will pick out the forces and I will set up the forces, and then I'll come back. The forces are set or selected. You can see that there's actually quite a substantial number of Germans. This is a scenario from December 1944 in Luxembourg, and it's part of the Ardennes offensive. Right, so what happened is that the Germans, it's part of the Ardennes offensive, and these are only Volksgrenadiers, so they're not very high quality units. In reality, there was a mixture of Volksgrenadiers and also Fallschirmjägers, but not of high quality. They were Luftwaffe, former Luftwaffe. So they are crossing a river and are passing just in front of these artillery battalions, and part of the 107 and 108 field artillery battalions and the 28th Infantry Division. That's not really important for the game, it just gives us a historical setting. So the Germans are passing in front of these guys and they need to take them out basically. The win conditions are that the Germans win immediately upon capturing or destroying all American guns. So the targets are the guns, and they are also the main weapons, of course. You can see that quite clearly. So that's interesting. So you may see that the counters are different shades of colors. So if you, maybe it's possible to see that. You can see that these are both Americans, but they have different shades of green. It is because I have mixed the counters from all the starter sets together. I know it's heresy, but I have done that. and they have not been from the same printer, obviously. So they had different shades of the same color. I set up the Americans now. When I play this game Solitaire, I try to focus only on this or the side I'm setting up, and I'm trying to cover all the options. I know that in this scenario the Germans may come on down here or along the southern edge, or also the southwestern edge. And there are some rules about setting up. I need to be between hex rows G and W. W is here and G is here, outside actually the camera, for the guns, and also sort of in the middle of the map. So I set it up. I set the guns up here, and all the guns have crews underneath, by the way, manned by crews. So all the guns are set up like this, and they're pointing in different directions, and that's important because the guns have a covered arc. I'm going to put this guy like this instead. So you can see the gun is pointing in this direction. It means that inside the arc where you can fire is going to go like this. And this gun up here, it points. You have to point between two hex sides down the hex spine like this. So the arc goes like this. So as long as any target moves inside the arc, it can be fired upon. And I can also move the gun, of course. That's going to cost a penalty, but we'll see how that works. Mortar here can fire 360. I put that inside the orchard together with the MMG. This is a 8.1 liter with the best squad I can muster actually in this game, a second liner with an MMG, trying to sort of cover all of this area. This is open ground, by the way, because it's in December and the grain are not in season. So these are basically open ground. This gun is out in the open. Could have put him in the orchard, but it doesn't do any good because being inside the orchard does not give hindrance. Have to be on this side of the orchard, so the shot goes through the orchard, not into it. So there's no point in being inside the orchard. There's no terrain modifier for that. Am I right? Yeah, I think I'm right about that. So I can just as well put it out here in the field. So I did that. And the only problem here with the MMG is, of course, if the enemy comes up here, then there's a lot of hindrance in the way. But I will get reinforcement on turn 4, or the Americans will get reinforcement on turn 4 coming from the north edge. So these guys are just, their task is to hold out until turn 4, and then a small force is coming on here to relieve them. Guessing now that the Germans will focus on this direction, maybe the other one as well, we'll see, but they may come on here in this corner here, and if that's the case, I have a gun sort of targeted that area already, and I have some half squads and a full squad here underneath the leader. It's really not a big hefty defense. It's quite a lousy defense, to be honest. Half squads are not something I like. Now I will set up the Germans. Actually, the Germans have to wait to come on. They come on turn 1, but I divided the troops up. So I put them on the edge where they will come on. I have to do that according to the rules. Let me show you. On the southern edge, I'm going to put out my main bulk. These are all first liners, which are the best unit the Germans have, the Volksgrenadiers have. Armed with light machine guns, medium machine guns, led by this 8.1 liter. Backups are second line units. Some backups in case they get wiped out. They can run in and pick up the weapon and continue. And the half squads are also going to assist here. So the other force, which is a much lesser force, consisting of mainly second line units. These are full squads. And this 8-0 leader is leading with the best unit, is a first liner. They will have to enter here and they will do so and try to advance from this position, keeping this gun here occupied. Normally when you set up guns, you can set them up hidden, so you just make a note on a piece of paper where they are. That makes it more interesting. It's useless, of course, when I play solitaire, and besides, this scenario actually states that the guns cannot be hidden. So that takes care of that, but yeah, that's an aspect that is not going to happen playing solitaire, of course. Hidden units. I think maybe we should take a closer look at the artillery counters. So this game now, this scenario, has two different artillery units. 105mm and 155mm. Other than the millimeter, which is overlined, indicating that these artilleries cannot fire armor-piercing shells, which is fine because there's no vehicles to shoot at. So these guys can shoot smoke, white phosphor, I guess, high explosives, which are targeted against infantry. They have a man-handling number, which is only valid if I want to use infantry or the crew to move the gun. This man-handling number is red, so this is a large gun. It's a little bit easier to hit. This man-handling number is a normal, so there's no modifier to hit there. And there's also some which has a white background. Yep. Like this German gun has a white background on the man-handling number, so that's a small gun. Ah, makes sense. In ASL starter kits, only guns that are QSU, quick setup guns, can be moved by infantry or crew, so these guns are going to stay put. I'm guessing that in the full game this is different, so that's why there is a man-handling number still if they cannot be moved. But for the starter kit purposes, they will stay put. Maybe that's it for the startup and setup of the game, and I'll see you back in next episode where we're actually going to take the first turn. See you soon.